We want to inform you about a situation that is very worrying. Over 500,000 eggs sit at the farm gates in various markets nationwide, getting rotten as an egg glut hits the country. The Ashanti region has the largest population of large-scale poultry farmers, numbering about 13. Now, COVID-19 is being blamed for the glut, and the producers are appealing to government to pick them up. There's more in this report.
Eggs. Several eggs at the railway market Kumasi go bad as a glut hits the country from COVID-19. The hardest hit in the value chain are women. They are here sitting outside waiting for customers who may never come in these COVID times. More than 90% of sellers are women who say they are losing thousands of Ghana cedis. These are eggs which should have been bought within a day. However, they have been here for over 5 days.
A lot is had been in the system. So we were trying to plead into the authorities. We have a lot of people, the donors, that they are giving money to others, they are giving free food to others, that they also coming into our aid. Why? Because we are all aware that eggs reduce our immune system. So if they also turn their attention into our side and buy some of the eggs we have the orphanages, they can give it to them, that's one. We have the frontline fighters, that is the doctors and nurses that they are taking care of the COVID patients. They also can take some so that it will imbue their immune system to fight against the disease. And then we have the prisoners as well, we can give them to them. And they are needy one. There are some people that they cannot even get money to buy one egg. They wait until it's Xmas or Easter before they can get one egg to eat. So those people too, the authority can also help us so that we buy these eggs for them and they also get their immune system to fight against the disease that we are all thinking about.
They used to be bought cash and carry, but they are currently being given out on credit, and the various experiences are bad.
So be our customers kakra be concry be kotakra de takwa pristiane ade nti wo customer ho a wo hwe abebu so no na otwe bi e de bebro nti na esa won so di bi kom ma nti obi ho a utiri yi a o ye no kwafo obeton no de usika abro obi also obedi fa obi okra o metua kra before Christmas e wo ha ye tokosi abrante bi e fra na adu jamfi wo ba ko wo beto utua e no sa ba biem one maame bi di dwa wa ha abante ne beto ye mrada sesa akosu e wo ha nyina de ko e ye nte ne nka biem wo fra no cross onimu se ano ne ayehia aban ne so ne se obeboa yen so o madeda hospitals no mo ntumi ntokosu e ne bi no aban beboa no wato na wachecha ma wo
aka ne de first kosu e ne day e betuma to more than 1,000 crates say kosu ya ba 50 crates akoso na 100 yentokusi anokra ti ama adwuma ne ye ayetin sisi de e papai ne de se dodo na yetugu epise wunya ba bia elfa nko first na nko mo ye aduane bi bua ye sisi no mo se de aye no kosi odokwa ye aduane bi hu a obeka se ase onto ntitu a na yetugu ntika na yebo me amegina ho me sika wo 1 billion e wo kam me nsanka wo be china wo be kono so sa ontia kama nso so ye den a obegini sika ebisa na odo to aduane ama abo na di no asade abele yen enti ye wo hande nipa bebrere de ka nipa bebrere hwe ye o mo de ka hu obe mu so de meka wo be kono so sa wo bu twakwan a onsanka.
Hajia Amina Haruna tells me this would have been a time when the market has excess eggs, but not to this extent. She adds some 50,000 crates were picked by the gender ministry during the lockdown, but since then virtually no one is buying the eggs.
Every year we had a glut of eggs. Usually start from April, May, June, July, up to November. When they sell some of the best, then it comes down. But it's usually every year.
It looks like this year is worse because of the COVID-19. Can you give us an idea about how bad it is currently?
It's true. This year, since January, because of the disease, nobody is coming. So unfortunately for us, government too came and collect part of it, which is not all what we want. So after the collection of the little they can, the rest has been stopped. So we are still on the glut. Yeah. There's no way for us to take it because the borders have been closed. Previously, when the borders were there, we can take some to Aflao or Burkina, but now the borders have been closed, so we can't take them anywhere. Yeah.
How is this affecting your business as somebody who constantly does this kind of business?
It's affecting us too much because we have brokerages, damages, nobody is buying them. So we have to take them home and eat some. And then some too, we can't eat them because of the lockup.
The Ashanti region has the largest number of large-scale poultry farmers out of the 29 across the country. We have come to Aboagye-Wiafe, where one of the 13 large-scale farms are. Santak Farm alone has 225,000 birds here. Majority are layers. Average industry egg production is 250 eggs per layer per day. The average cost per kilogram of producing broilers in Ghana estimated at 15 Ghana cedis for large-scale producers and higher for small-scale producers. Ghana produces more than 78 million birds. Well, guess what? About 80% of these birds are layers. It means several eggs in the market during these COVID times. In this poultry farm alone, we have over 40,000 eggs, that's a crate of eggs, waiting to be bought. To the market? No, because in the market women cannot pick these huge numbers. This is actually a production of about a week, and the farmers are helpless. They don't know where to send these eggs as there's currently a glut.
The market have been closed and the market women are not being allowed to sell their eggs. So it's causing us a huge problem. Right now, for them to come for their eggs is a problem, and movements too is being restricted. At least we will have about 4,000 eggs of trays per day.
So what's going to happen? How are you going to dispose of these eggs?
If things don't change, we have no option.
Debts have begun piling for women who have taken loans.
You know that this work demands a lot of financing, and most of our finances are from banks. And now the eggs is the money that we use, the eggs money is the money that we use to pay those loans. But now, they are not buying the eggs. So it continues to lie at the farms and the markets as you witness with it. So it's affecting our business. What we are doing now is we make it as a contract to get a lot of the eggs for people to do. So we are advertising the places that they need eggs. We just call all of them, make arrangements to collect a lot of them, and then we give it. We have been to government also to help us. Because last month when the lockdown was there, we were able to see the government officials to give us Minister of Agriculture all in with us. And Gender Ministry, to see her, they give us about a contract of 50,000 eggs so that they'll be given to the needy. And Ashanti region here too, they collected some of our eggs. We gather it for them also to buy so that it will reduce the tension that is in the system.
Over 500,000 eggs across the country are not being bought, and many more add to the numbers daily. The layer industry is currently the relic left of the poultry industry. Ghana imports more than 60% of cut chicken in a year. In 2018 alone, the imported number was 61%, though a policy document indicates 60%. This had to go on to bridge the gap or to augment the imported needs of the country. Majority of the importation is from the United States of America. Ghana used to export poultry about 20 years ago. As it stands now, the country spends close to $400 million every year importing chicken. Ghana also imports about 70% of its day-old chicks, making the layout market the only sector really thriving. The coronavirus has dealt a big blow to the sector with the various closures, and it will take a huge support from government to revive it.
And that's just unbelievable. 500,000 eggs going waste. I can't just imagine. Well, joining me in studio to discuss this is coordinator for the Ghana National Egg Secretariat. She is Comfort the Champion. She joins me in the studio to discuss this. And that is something else. I don't know what to say to this, but is this just because of the COVID-19 pandemic?
Sure, it is. I would say that it is fully due to the COVID. Some years ago, when the problem of cholesterol in eggs was all over the place, consumption of eggs went down. Okay. But for 4 years, there was a campaign on egg consumption. So at least that changed the whole thing, because the myth surrounding the consumption of eggs was removed. People were actually believing that egg was a good food to be eaten and so on. And that is true. From nowhere, this COVID has come in, and people are still or were eating eggs. Eggs were being brought to Accra from Domahinkro, from Kumasi, from all the egg producing areas to Accra and to other places. And farmers were making good sales. Then when this COVID came, first the lockdown, movement of eggs to the cities, to the sales centers had a lot of challenges. Then, now that it is also lifted, when we started, just before the lockdown, there was this panic buying. Yeah. So people who were eating eggs or who used to eat a lot of eggs started storing or stocking eggs in their homes. So when it was lifted, these eggs were still there on people's farms. Those who could manage and bring the trucks of eggs to Accra couldn't find buyers. The women who are selling the eggs on the market could not be found, because some people buy on credit, or they give it to them on credit weekly, and after every week they come to collect their money and they give them fresh ones. Right. This time they come and they cannot even trace the people they gave the eggs to. So what is happening is true. It's not a concocted story. It is true. Well, we've seen the videos there from Odila and Tiama, who went to cover that story for us. So it's indeed true. Yeah. But I want to know if ever you have experienced a glut, and when you do experience a glut, usually what do you do with the eggs that are getting rotten? Thank you for that question. In the late 90s, or early 90s through to the late 90s, there were a lot of glut, more especially after Christmas and then after the Ramadan. People were not buying it because of the cholesterol story, which I've just mentioned. Okay. Then this education came in about the benefit of eggs, and it changed. Now, during that time, farmers were burying thousands of eggs. So they bury the eggs when the eggs. Wow. Yes. Well, I'll come back to that, but joining us to discuss this a bit further is Anthony Morrison. He's with the Chamber of Agribusiness, and so great to have you on the show this afternoon, Anthony Morrison. What do you make of this story about the glut of eggs you're seeing, and that they could potentially get buried if, we don't get a market for them? Hello, Anthony. Can you hear me, Anthony? Okay, we'll fix the sound issues and go back to Anthony. So you told me that the eggs are
buried, and that's the end of the story.
They are thrown away. They are destroyed.
And that comes with cost to the poultry farmers.
Exactly.
And that's so bad. So really, people are now saying maybe there should be a change in policy. You know, we usually have this 80% concentration on layers and maybe 20 on broilers. Should we change that policy maybe, and maybe concentrate more on broilers and maybe do few eggs? What do you think?
If we want to change this 80%, then the importation of the frozen chicken must stop, because we have farmers who have the ability, the capability, all that it takes to produce broilers in the country. Now people who used to produce broilers for the market at age 10 weeks, even 12 weeks, but now farmers have the education that they can even produce broilers at 6 weeks, 42 days. The broiler is ready for the market, for the table. But then they have the problem of marketing. The frozen chicken is cheaper than what we are producing in the country. So that's why most farmers decided to do the layer. Okay. Because for the layer, you have the eggs there, quick market for the eggs. In the end, when your birds have laid for about 1 year, 1.5 years, 2 years, you sell them as spent layers, and that is good money also. So that's why.
So I'm thinking that there would have been market for the eggs if it was not for COVID-19, right?
Yes, that's true, because nobody was complaining about the sales of eggs any longer.
So my final question to you would be, what can be done to help these farmers who are obviously distressed, who are affected by the situation there?
Thank you very much. I was looking at a program, and then I'm also on a certain platform, and in an African country, the state governors, some state governors, were buying the eggs because they are also having the glut. They bought the eggs being stored there that are not sold. The state bought them and gave them to frontline workers, to the media, just to ease that challenge, that big problem from the head of the farmers. So I feel that if the government can come to the aid of these farmers, so that at least these eggs that are sitting there, over 500,000,
will be bought by government and invested into something else.
And then, yes, given to other people. And then also, if we can appeal to corporate bodies, to individuals who are donating PPEs, they can include eggs. If you are sending the face masks and whatever, at least send about 2,000, 3,000 trays of eggs also.
Thank you so much. I want to move over and try and speak with Anthony Morrison of the Chamber of Agribusiness. Thank you so much, Anthony. Hopefully we can get to speak to you now. So what do you make of this? Hello, Anthony. Okay, so Anthony, we're having challenges with him, but thank you very much for sharing your perspective with us, and we hope that there's some breakthrough and that those eggs don't just get buried. Comfort Echampong is coordinator of the Ghana National Egg Secretariat.